My name is Philomena, and at 29 I can still remember the exact weight of two crumpled dollar bills in my palm on Christmas morning. While my sister unwrapped keys to a $350,000 Rolls Royce in our driveway, I stood there holding everything my parents thought I was worth. That night, at exactly 2 in the morning, I walked out of that house with one duffel bag and never looked back. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know in the comments where you are watching from. And if you have ever felt invisible in your own family, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe, because what comes next will show you exactly where rock bottom can take you if you refuse to stay there. Now let me take you back to the night everything shattered. Growing up in our house in Fairfield, Connecticut, felt like living in two different realities at the same time. My father Gerald worked as a vice president at a pharmaceutical company. My mother Lorraine spent her days organizing charity galas and playing tennis at the country club. On paper, we looked like the perfect American family. Behind closed doors, I learned early that love in our house had a favorite child, and it was not me. Sylvia came along when I was 3 years old. From the moment she arrived, something shifted in the way our parents saw me. I became the responsible one, the independent one, the one who did not need as much attention. Sylvia became the princess, the baby, the one who deserved everything beautiful in this world. I told myself for years that I was imagining things that parents could not possibly love one child more than another. But children know the truth long before they have words for it. By the time I turned 16, the pattern was impossible to ignore. Sylvia got a brand new BMW convertible Arctic white with cream leather seats. I watched my father present it to her in the driveway, tears in his eyes telling her she deserved the world. 6 months later, on my own 16th birthday, they handed me keys to a 7-year-old Honda Civic with 120,000 miles on it. My father called it a lesson in responsibility. My mother said I should be grateful to have anything at all. College applications rolled around, and I worked myself to exhaustion. Straight A's through high school valedictorian of my class, volunteer work at the homeless shelter, every weekend captain of the debate team. I thought achievement would earn me the love I watched them pour over my sister for simply existing. Sylvia coasted through high school with C's and B's, spent her weekends at parties, contributed nothing to our community. When acceptance letters arrived, I got into our state university with a partial scholarship. I would need to cover the rest through work and loans. Sylvia got into a private liberal arts college that cost $60,000 a year. Our parents paid every penny without blinking. I worked 3 jobs through college. Mornings at a coffee shop, starting at 5 afternoons at the campus library, weekends, waiting tables at a chain restaurant near the highway. I studied between shifts, wrote papers during my dinner breaks, survived on 4 hours of sleep most nights. Meanwhile, Sylvia posted photos from her sorority formals, spring break trips to Cancun, shopping sprees in Manhattan. Our parents funded all of it. When I asked once if they could help with my textbook costs, my mother sighed and said they had already stretched themselves thin paying for my tuition. They gave me $200 and made me feel like I should write a thank you note. Birthdays told the same story year after year. Sylvia's 18th birthday party had ice sculptures, a live band, 200 guests, and a photographer who followed her around all night like she was royalty. My 21st birthday was dinner at a mid-range Italian restaurant with just the 4 of us. I paid for my own meal because my father forgot his wallet. Sylvia got unlimited credit cards. I got a strict monthly allowance of $50 deposited with a lecture about budgeting and character building. I graduated college with honors debt and the kind of exhaustion that lives in your bones. I moved back home temporarily while job hunting, sleeping in my childhood bedroom, surrounded by participation trophies and academic awards that no one ever celebrated. Sylvia dropped out of college junior year to focus on her Instagram presence and dating a series of men our parents approved of, based solely on their bank accounts. Nobody called her a failure. They called it finding herself. The weeks leading up to that final Christmas, I should have seen what was coming. It was early December, and my mother could barely contain her excitement about Sylvia's special surprise. I would walk into rooms and find her on the phone whispering about delivery logistics and custom details. She would hang up quickly when she noticed me smile tightly and change the subject. My father spent more time than usual in his study reviewing paperwork I was not allowed to see. I tried not to think about it. I had started applying for jobs out of state anywhere that might give me distance from the constant reminder that I was not enough. 3 interviews lined up for January 2 in Seattle and 1 in Austin. I held on to that hope like a lifeline, imagining a future where I could build something that belonged only to me. One afternoon, while helping my mother wrap presents, I found her shopping list on the kitchen counter. At the top, in her neat handwriting, Sylvia's special gift budget unlimited. Below that, almost as an afterthought, Philomena cash minimal. I stared at those words until they blurred. Minimal. That was the budget for my existence. I folded the paper carefully, put it back where I found it, and went to my room. I did not cry. I had learned years ago that tears changed nothing in this house. Christmas Eve arrived, with all the tension of a storm building on the horizon. My mother cooked an elaborate dinner, prime rib and lobster tail sides, that took her all day to prepare. Champagne flowed freely. My parents could not stop grinning at each other across the table, sharing secret glances that excluded everyone else. Sylvia preened in a new designer dress, clearly in on whatever surprise awaited. I pushed food around my plate and tried to make myself smaller. After dinner, my mother touched my arm as I cleared dishes. Philomena. Dear, do not expect too much tomorrow. You are an adult now, after all. 21 years old and still wanting my parents to see me. I nodded, carried plates to the kitchen, and felt something inside me go very quiet and very still. That night I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, and I knew. Whatever happened tomorrow would be the end of something. I just did not know yet that it would be the end of my life in that house. I woke Christmas morning to the sound of Sylvia squealing downstairs. The clock read 7:15. Too early for the girl who usually slept until noon, but apparently not when something exciting waited for her. I got dressed slowly, pulling on jeans and an old college sweatshirt, delaying the inevitable. Through my window I could see neighbors already out walking dogs, kids riding new bikes, normal families having normal holidays. Downstairs, the living room looked like a magazine spread. Our 12-foot tree glittered with white lights and designer ornaments my mother had collected over decades. Presents crowded underneath, but even from the doorway I could see they were separated into 2 distinct piles. On the left, near the fireplace, a mountain of boxes wrapped in gold and silver paper with Sylvia's name on them. On the right, near the window, 3 small boxes with my name written in my mother's handwriting. My father stood by the mantel in his Christmas sweater, the one he wore every year, holding a glass of bourbon, even though it was barely past 7. My mother perched on the edge of the sofa, her phone ready to record. Sylvia bounced on her toes in designer pajamas that probably cost more than my monthly food budget, her highlighted hair perfect even first thing in the morning. Philomena, there you are, my father said. We have been waiting. Come sit down. I sat in the armchair. I always sat in the one with the spring that poked through the cushion. Nobody suggested Sylvia open her presents first. It was understood. It was always understood. My father cleared his throat like he was about to give a speech at a board meeting. Sylvia, sweetheart, your mother and I want you to know how incredibly proud we are of you. You have grown into such a remarkable young woman. Beautiful, graceful, everything we could have hoped for in a daughter. We know this past year has been challenging for you finding your path, and we wanted to do something special to show you how much we believe in your future. I watched Sylvia's eyes fill with practiced tears. She was good at this, the performance of gratitude. My mother was filming every second. My father held out his hand to Sylvia. Why don't you come outside with us, princess? We all walked to the front door. My father opened it with a flourish. In our circular driveway sat a car I had only ever seen in magazines and music videos. A Rolls-Royce Cullinan, pristine white with chrome accents, a giant red bow across the hood that must have taken an hour to arrange. The morning sun hit it just right, making it glow like something from another world. Sylvia screamed. actually screamed the sound so shrill that dogs 3 houses down started barking. She ran to the car, her hands over her mouth, tears streaming down her face. My mother ran after her crying too, both of them hugging and jumping and making sounds I could not identify as language. My father followed, chest puffed out, the proud provider. I stood in the doorway in my old sweatshirt and watched. Neighbors started coming out of their houses. Mrs. Patterson from next door in her bathrobe. The Kowalskis from across the street with their twin toddlers. Everyone wanted to see what the commotion was about. My father was explaining the features. Custom cream leather interior, heads-up display, heated and cooled seats, premium sound system. The car cost $350,000. He said the number loud enough for everyone to hear. Sylvia pulled open the driver's side door and climbed in, still crying, running her hands over the steering wheel. My mother filmed her from every angle. My father stood with his arm around my mother's shoulders, both of them glowing with joy. This was their moment. Their perfect daughter receiving a perfect gift. I was window dressing in the background of their family portrait. 30 minutes passed. Sylvia started an Instagram live stream from inside the car, showing off every detail to her followers. Neighbors congratulated my parents on their generosity. Someone asked if I was getting a car too. My father laughed and said I already had a car, the Civic, still running just fine. Everyone laughed with him. The responsible daughter did not need extravagance, just the spoiled one. Finally, we went back inside. The living room felt too warm, the Christmas music playing from the speakers suddenly too cheerful. Sylvia could not stop talking about the car, planning road trips, discussing which friends she would take first. My mother made coffee. My father refilled his bourbon. "Oh, Philomena," my mother said suddenly, as if just remembering I existed. "We did not forget about you, sweetheart." She handed me a card. Standard Christmas card from the drugstore snow scene, on the front generic message about joy and family inside. And tucked in the fold, 2 $1 bills, crisp new like she had specifically requested them from the bank. I pulled them out, held them. $2, 2 single dollars. There was also a handwritten note on the inside of the card in my mother's perfect cursive. "For your coffee fund, enjoy responsibly." I stood there, those 2 bills in my hand, while my family watched me, waiting for what gratitude. My father chuckled, the sound wet and loose from the bourbon. "You are 21 now, Philomena. Time to be independent. We have already spent so much putting you through that state school. We figured you would appreciate something practical." My mother nodded enthusiastically. "Exactly. You are always so sensible. Not like Sylvia, who needs a little extra help. You understand, do not you?" Dear, Sylvia looked at me over the rim of her coffee mug, and I saw it. The smirk. Just for a second, barely there, but I saw it. She was enjoying this. Not just the car, but this moment. Me standing there with $2 while she had $350,000 sitting in the driveway. This was her victory. Final proof of who mattered in this family. I folded the 2 bills carefully, slipped them into my pocket. When I spoke, my voice came out steady and calm. "Thank you. This is very thoughtful." My mother beamed. "I knew you would understand. Now let's have breakfast." I made cinnamon rolls. I excused myself to the bathroom, locked the door, looked at my reflection in the mirror above the sink. 21 years old. Honors graduate. 3 jobs through college. Debate team captain. Volunteer of the year. None of it mattered. None of it had ever mattered. I was never going to be enough for these people because they did not want me to be. They needed someone to overlook so Sylvia could shine brighter by comparison. I went to my room, sat on my bed, took out those $2 and stared at them. And something crystallized in that moment, sharp and clear and absolute. I could not stay here. Not another day, not another hour. This house was poison, and if I stayed, I would spend the rest of my life trying to earn love from people incapable of giving it. I had to leave. Not dramatically, not with a confrontation or explanations. Just leave. Disappear. Start over somewhere they could never make me feel small again. The rest of Christmas Day passed in a fog. Sylvia's friends came over to see the car. more photos, more squealing, more celebration. My parents hosted neighbors for evening cocktails, showing off their generous gift. I served drinks, cleaned up wrapping paper, played the role I had always played. The helpful daughter, the invisible one. Nobody asked about my $2. Nobody asked about me at all. By 10 that night, everyone had gone home. Sylvia went out with friends in her new car, the engine purring down the street like a contented cat. My parents went to bed early, exhausted from their big day. I sat in the living room alone. The $2 bills lay on the coffee table in front of me. I picked them up, put them in my wallet, and started planning. At midnight, I sat at my desk with my laptop open and began researching with the focus I used to reserve for final exams. I had exactly $3,200 in my checking account. Saved from summer jobs, birthday money from relatives who actually remembered I existed, tips from the restaurant. Not much, but enough to start. I looked at bus routes first. Greyhound, Megabus, Peter Pan. Cross-country trips, one-way tickets. My criteria was simple. Far from Connecticut. Affordable cost of living. Job market for someone with my degree in communications and business. After 2 hours of research, I settled on Portland, Oregon. Almost 3,000 miles away. Growing tech scene. Lower cost of living than Seattle. Rainy and gray, which matched how I felt inside. The next bus left from Hartford at 6 in the morning. Ticket cost $147. I booked it. Then I searched for temporary housing. Youth hostels, weekly rentals rooms for rent. I found a hostel in downtown Portland, $12 per night, shared bathrooms, co-ed dorms. Not ideal, but it would work until I found something permanent. I had enough savings for about 3 months if I was careful, longer if I found work quickly. I made a list of what to take. It had to fit in one bag. Everything else would stay behind, and I felt no attachment to any of it. The trophies on my shelf, the yearbooks in my closet, the framed family photos my mother had insisted on displaying. None of it was mine in any real sense. It all belonged to the girl who kept hoping her parents would wake up one day and see her. That girl was gone. The important documents went in a folder. Birth certificate, social security card, college diploma. Letters of recommendation from professors, my resume. Everything else was just things. Clothes I could replace. Books I could buy again. Possessions were not the point. Freedom was the point. At 1:45 in the morning, my alarm vibrated silently under my pillow. I had not really slept, just laid there in the dark, listening to the house settle around me. I got up slowly, my heart beating steady and calm. No panic, no second thoughts, just certainty. I dressed in layers for the long bus ride. Jeans, a t-shirt, a flannel, a zip-up hoodie, my warmest jacket, thick socks, and my most comfortable sneakers. I pulled my duffel bag from the closet, the same one I had taken to college orientation 4 years ago. I packed systematically, rolling clothes to save space. 1 week worth of outfits, underwear and socks, a pair of running shoes, one nice outfit for job interviews, toiletries in a Ziploc bag, phone charger, laptop and its charger, a book I had been reading, the folder of important documents. I added the $2 to my wallet tucked between my debit card and my driver's license. I wanted them close, wanted to remember what I was worth to the people who should have loved me most. They would serve as a reminder of why I could never come back. Everything I owned that mattered fit in that one bag. It weighed maybe 25 pounds. My entire life condensed to what I could carry. I looked around my room one last time. The walls still had marks where posters used to hang. The desk where I had written college applications. The bed where I had cried myself to sleep more times than I could count. I felt nothing looking at it now. Just empty. Ready. I picked up my bag and walked to the door. Stopped. Listened. The house was silent except for my father's snoring from down the hall. I crept down the stairs, avoiding the 3rd and 7th steps that creaked. In the kitchen, I grabbed some granola bars from the pantry and filled my water bottle. Then I went to the front door. The old hinges were well oiled. My father was meticulous about home maintenance even if he was negligent about his daughters. The door opened silently. I stepped out into the December cold. 2:17 in the morning according to my phone. The temperature hovered around 28 degrees. My breath came out in clouds. The street was empty, Christmas lights still glowing on houses up and down the block, everyone asleep. Everyone safe in their warm homes with their families who wanted them. I looked back at the house one time, at the windows of my parents' bedroom, at Sylvia's room where she was probably dreaming about her new car, at the life I had spent 21 years trying to fit into, and then I turned around and started walking. The bus station was 3 miles away. I could have called a cab, but I wanted to walk. Needed to feel every step taking me farther from that house. The streets were empty and quiet. My breath steady, my feet sure. I was not running away. I was walking toward something better. Toward a life where I decided my worth. Where I built something no one could take from me. By the time I reached the station, my fingers were numb and my nose was running from the cold. But I felt more alive than I had in years. I bought my ticket from the machine, sat in the waiting area with my bag between my feet, watched the clock count down to 6, and when they called for boarding to Portland, I stood up, picked up my bag, and walked onto that bus without looking back. The Greyhound trip took 3 days with stops in Cleveland, Chicago, Minneapolis, Billings, and Spokane. I slept sitting up, my bag clutched to my chest. I ate vending machine food and drank bad coffee from rest stops. I watched America pass by through dirty windows. Small towns and big cities. Farmland and mountains. Every mile taking me farther from the only life I had ever known. I did not let myself think about my family during that ride. Did not wonder when they would notice I was gone. Did not imagine my mother opening my bedroom door to find it empty. They would probably feel relief more than concern. One less person to deal with during the holidays. One less reminder that their perfect family portrait had a flaw. Portland welcomed me with rain. Steady, cold, relentless rain that soaked through my jacket in the first 5 minutes. I found the hostel on foot, dragging my wet bag through unfamiliar streets. The building was old and smelled like mildew and instant ramen. My bunk was in a room with 7 other beds. The guy across from me was from Australia, backpacking across the states. The girl above me was from Boston, running from something she would not name. We were all refugees from our old lives. Nobody asked questions. I gave myself 1 day to sleep. Then I started hunting for work. I applied everywhere. Coffee shops, retail stores, restaurants, temp agencies. I walked into businesses with paper resumes, smiled at managers, lied through my teeth about why I had moved to Portland. New start, I said. Always wanted to live in the Pacific Northwest. They did not need to know I was a girl with $2 in a duffel bag running from a family that never wanted her. On my 5th day in Portland, I got hired at a local coffee shop called Daily Grind. $8.50 an hour, 25 to 30 hours a week. Tips pooled and split at the end of each shift. The owner was a woman in her 50s named Ruth, who looked at me with eyes that had seen her share of runaways. She did not ask where I came from, just showed me how to work the espresso machine and told me my first shift started the next morning at 6. I picked up a second job through a temp agency. Weekend data entry at a law firm. $10 an hour, 8-hour shifts Saturday and Sunday. Mindless work typing numbers into spreadsheets, but it paid. Between both jobs, I was working 60 to 70 hours a week. Barely sleeping. Eating peanut butter sandwiches and ramen. But I was surviving. On my own. With no help from anyone. After 2 weeks in the hostel, I found a studio apartment in a rough part of Southeast Portland. $450 a month, first and last required up front. The building was old. The hallways smelled like cigarettes and curry, and I could hear my neighbors through the thin walls at all hours. But it was mine. I signed the lease with a hand that did not shake. I furnished it with finds from Goodwill and the Salvation Army. A mattress I put directly on the floor. A folding table and 1 plastic chair. A lamp. Dishes from the thrift store, mismatched and chipped but functional. I hung my few clothes in the tiny closet, set up my laptop on the table, stood in the middle of my 200-square-foot space and felt like royalty. This was mine, paid for with my own money, filled with things I chose. No one here made me feel small. No one compared me to a golden child. I was just Philomena barista and data entry clerk, starting over in a city where no one knew my last name. The loneliness hit at night. Lying on my mattress staring at water stains on the ceiling, I would think about my life before. Not my family. I tried not to think about them. But my college friends who I had lost touch with during the chaos of that last semester. The professors who had believed in me. The version of myself who thought hard work and good grades would be enough. I mourned that girl sometimes, the one who still had hope, but I did not let myself stay in that sadness. Every morning at 5, my alarm went off. I got up, I went to work. I came home exhausted. And then instead of sleeping, I opened my laptop and taught myself to code. I had discovered free online courses through the library. Codecademy Free Codecamp Khan Academy. I started with basic HTML and CSS, moved into JavaScript, spent hours watching tutorials, building small projects, breaking things, and fixing them. I was not naturally good at it. My brain, trained for essays and presentations, had to rewire itself for logic and syntax. But I was stubborn, and I had nothing to lose. At the coffee shop, I started talking to customers. Portland was full of people in tech. Software engineers getting their morning espresso. Web designers working on laptops in the corner. I listened to their conversations, asked questions. One regular, a guy in his 30s named Marcus, who worked at a startup downtown, noticed me studying code on my breaks. "You teaching yourself?" he asked one day. "Yeah, trying to." He looked at my screen at the JavaScript tutorial I was stuck on, pointed out my mistake, explained the concept in a way that finally made sense. The next day he brought me a book, Eloquent JavaScript, dog-eared and marked up with his notes. "Keep it. I have the new edition. You have questions, ask." I remember what it was like starting out. Marcus became my unofficial mentor. He would review my code, suggest projects, introduce me to other developers who came into the shop. He never asked why I was doing this, why a girl with a business degree was teaching herself programming in a coffee shop at 6 in the morning. He just helped. 4 months in, I landed my first freelance project. A friend of a customer needed a simple website for her dog grooming business. 5 pages, contact form, photo gallery. She would pay me $250. I worked on it every night for 2 weeks. Redesigned it 3 times because I wanted it perfect. When I delivered it and she loved it, I cried in my apartment. Not from joy exactly, from relief, from the proof that I could do this, that I could build something valuable with my own hands. More projects followed, a website for a local bakery, an online portfolio for a photographer, a booking system for a massage therapist. My rates went up. 250 became 500, became 800. I built a portfolio, taught myself more languages. Python, React, back-end development. I was coding 8 hours a day on top of working my 2 jobs, sleeping 4 hours a night, living on coffee and willpower. 7 months after arriving in Portland, I applied for a junior developer position at a tech startup. The interview was terrifying. I had no formal training, no computer science degree, just a portfolio of freelance work and obsessive self-study. But I had also debugged every problem they gave me, explained my thought process, showed them I could learn. They offered me the job. $45,000 a year. Benefits. Actual office space. I gave my notice at the coffee shop and the temp agency. Ruth hugged me, told me she knew I would make it. Marcus bought me a beer to celebrate. I went home to my studio apartment, sat on my mattress floor, and let myself feel it. Pride. Real earned pride. I moved to a better apartment. $800 a month, but it had a bedroom separated from the living space. A kitchen with a stove that worked. Windows that locked properly. I bought furniture piece by piece. A real bed frame. a couch from IKEA, a desk, kitchen supplies. I was building a life. 9 months in, I started therapy. I found a sliding scale clinic where I could afford $50 per session. I had to talk about my family eventually. Had to unpack why I left. Had to understand that their treatment of me was never about my value. That favoritism like that comes from something broken in the parents, not the overlooked child. My therapist, Dr. Karen Chen, was patient while I learned to cry again. While I worked through anger I had been swallowing for 21 years. While I figured out what I wanted from life beyond survival. She taught me about boundaries, about choosing family, about the difference between forgiveness and letting poison back into your life. I made friends, real friends who liked me for who I was, not who they needed me to be. Hiking groups on weekends, book clubs, coworkers who became close. I went on dates, nothing serious, just learning how to let people see me. I discovered I liked photography. Started a small Instagram account showing Portland through my lens. Rainy streets and forest trails and coffee shop moments. Nothing viral, just mine. 1 year after leaving Connecticut, I sat in my apartment on Christmas Eve. I had baked cookies, put up a small tree, made plans to volunteer at a soup kitchen Christmas Day. I thought about my family for the first time in months. Wondered if they had noticed yet that I was not coming back. Wondered if Sylvia still had that car. If my parents still told their friends they had one perfect daughter. I did not feel anger anymore, just distance, like thinking about characters in a book I had read once and put down. Their story was not mine anymore. I had written myself a new one, and it was better than anything they could have given me. My second year in Portland brought a promotion, mid-level developer, $68,000 salary. I was leading small projects now, mentoring junior developers the way Marcus had mentored me. I started speaking at local meetups about self-taught coding journeys. My story resonated. Other people who had started from nothing, who had taught themselves, who had rebuilt their lives line by line of code. Year 3, I got headhunted. A major tech company wanted to interview me for a senior developer position. 6 rounds of interviews, whiteboard problems, system design, cultural fit. It was brutal. But I had been living brutal for 3 years. I knew how to survive hard things. They offered me the job. $115,000 plus equity. I accepted on the spot. I called Marcus that night. The man who had given me that first book in a coffee shop, who had believed in me before I believed in myself. He congratulated me. Asked if I remembered where I started. Of course I did. A duffel bag and $2. A mattress on the floor, and dreams bigger than I knew how to hold. You built this, he said. Nobody gave it to you. Remember that. I did. I remembered it every single day. At my new job, I thrived in ways I had not known possible. The work challenged me. System architecture, large-scale applications, problems that required days to solve and left me exhausted and satisfied. I was good at this. Better than good. My solutions were elegant. My code was clean. My team respected me. Year 4 brought another promotion. Lead developer, $155,000. I was managing a team of 8 people now, making decisions about product direction, speaking at national tech conferences about scalability and user experience. Tech blogs interviewed me. My LinkedIn blew up with recruiters and connection requests. I published articles about problem-solving approaches, guest lectured at Portland State University, served as a mentor in programs for underprivileged students trying to break into tech. I gave back what Marcus had given me, believed in people before they believed in themselves, showed them that background did not determine destiny. Financially, I was doing things I had never imagined. Maxing out my 401k, building an investment portfolio, index funds, a little cryptocurrency, some individual stocks and companies I believed in. I had an emergency fund that could cover 6 months of expenses. I was debt-free. My credit score was excellent. 3 years into living in Portland, I put a down payment on a condo. 1-bedroom floor-to-ceiling windows, a view of Mount Hood on clear days, hardwood floors and granite counters, and a kitchen I actually wanted to cook in. I furnished it carefully. A real couch, art on the walls, plants by the windows, bookshelves filled with volumes I had time to read now. It looked like an adult lived there, someone with their life together. Because I did. I bought a car. Nothing flashy. A Toyota Camry 5 years old paid for in cash. Reliable and practical. Everything I needed and nothing I did not. I did not need to prove anything to anyone. Not anymore. I donated to causes I believed in. A scholarship fund for first-generation college students from difficult family situations. Organizations helping kids in foster care. Programs teaching coding to underrepresented groups. I gave thousands every year. Money my family would have spent on a car for the favorite daughter, I spent lifting up people who needed someone to believe in them. My personal life filled in slowly. I joined a hiking group that explored trails every weekend. Made friends who knew nothing about my past and liked me for who I was now. Started displaying my photography at a local gallery. Sold a few prints. Nothing that would pay bills, but the validation felt good. Proof that I could create beauty, not just code. And then I met Jamie at a tech conference in Seattle. An architect literally designing sustainable buildings. Smart and kind and funny in a quiet way. We talked for 3 hours at a networking event about everything except work. Books we loved. Places we wanted to travel. The difference between being alone and being lonely. We dated long distance for 6 months. Portland to Seattle every other weekend. Phone calls every night. Getting to know each other slowly, carefully. Jamie had also come from a difficult family. Also understood what it meant to build yourself from scratch. We recognized each other in that way people who have survived hard things do. Jamie moved to Portland after a year. We got an apartment together, split rent and responsibilities, and built a life that felt nothing like the one I grew up in. Equal partnership, mutual respect, actual love that did not require me to shrink myself to deserve it. My therapist helped me understand why I had picked someone safe. Why I needed a partner who would never make me compete for attention or affection. Why equality mattered so much to me. We talked about my family less now. They had become backstory, not current pain. I had processed the grief of being unseen. Had accepted I would never get the apology I deserved. Had moved on. 5 years after leaving Connecticut, I was 33 years old. Director of engineering at a company building educational software. Salary of $200,000. A team of 20 developers. Speaking engagements. Published thought leadership. A life so far removed from that girl holding $2 on Christmas morning that sometimes it felt like a story that happened to someone else. But I kept those $2. Framed them in a small shadow box in my home office. Not as a wound I kept picking at. As a reminder of the moment I chose myself. The night I decided I deserved better and walked into the dark to find it. Then one morning an email arrived that shattered 5 years of silence. The subject line read, "Your family misses you." I stared at that email for 2 days before opening it. It sat in my inbox like a bomb. I knew who it was from. My mother's email address. I had blocked her on my phone years ago, but I had not thought to block email. Stupid oversight. Finally, on a quiet evening while Jamie was at a work dinner, I clicked it open. "Dearest Philomena, I hope this message finds you well. Your father and I have been so worried about you these past years. We saw an article about your success in the tech industry, and we are so incredibly proud of you. You have always been such an achiever. Sylvia is getting married next spring to a wonderful man named Trevor. The wedding will be in the Hamptons. We would absolutely love for you to be there. I know it has been a long time, and perhaps there were some misunderstandings, but you are still family. We miss you terribly. Also, if you are able, we could use some help with wedding expenses. We know you are doing quite well financially now. Sylvia's vision for her special day is rather elaborate, and things have become somewhat tight for us lately. Any contribution would be deeply appreciated. Please call or write. Let us reconnect. With love, Mom." I read it 3 times. Each time the audacity grew sharper. Not a single acknowledgement of why I left. No apology for the years of favoritism. No recognition that they had given my sister a $350,000 car and given me $2. Just we miss you, and can you send money for Sylvia's wedding? The rage I thought I had processed came roaring back. My hands shook. My vision blurred. 5 years of therapy and growth, and one email reduced me to that 21-year-old girl standing in the living room, holding crumpled bills and feeling worthless. I closed the laptop, walked away, breathed, called Dr. Chen the next day and made an emergency appointment. We talked through it. The violation of them finding me. The assumption that I owed them anything. The gall of asking for money after everything. You do not owe them a response, she said. You do not owe them anything at all. I blocked the email address, deleted the message, tried to move on. A week later, an email arrived at my work address. My father this time. The tone was different, harsher, more demanding. Philomena. Your mother tells me you have not responded to her message. This is unacceptable. We are your family. We raised you, fed you, put you through school. You have obligations here. Sylvia's wedding is important and we need your help financially. I know you are making good money now. A contribution of $50,000 would be appropriate given your success. Also, this silent treatment has gone on long enough. Whatever imagined slights you are holding on to need to be forgiven. We did our best as parents. You turned out fine, did you not? Proof that our methods worked. Call your mother. Stop being childish. Dad, I showed it to HR, asked if I needed to worry about security. They were understanding. Added notes to my file. Increased building security protocols. I blocked that email address too. Then came the LinkedIn message from Sylvia. I saw the notification and my stomach dropped. Hey sis. Long time. Look, I know things were weird when we were younger, but we are adults now. I am getting married and I really want you there. Mom and Dad are being weird about money stuff, but honestly, the wedding costs are insane. The venue alone is $80,000. If you could help out, that would be amazing. We are family, right? Let's put the past behind us. I read between the lines easily. Their money was running out. Sylvia's lifestyle had not changed. She still expected everything handed to her. And now that I had money, I was suddenly worth contacting. Not because they loved me, because they wanted what I had earned. I blocked Sylvia too. My cousin Rachel reached out next, trying to mediate. She meant well. Did not understand the depth of what I had escaped. I explained gently that I was not interested in reconciliation. She respected that. Stopped pushing. I appreciated her for it. 3 months after that first email, my building concierge called up to my condo. Ms. Philomena, there are 2 people in the lobby claiming to be your parents. They are demanding to see you. Should I send them up or call security? My heart stopped. They had found my address, had flown across the country, were in my building, invading the safe space I had built. I will come down, I said. Do not let them up. I took the elevator down with my heart pounding. Jamie was working late. I was alone for this. Maybe that was better. I needed to face them myself. End this once and for all. They stood in the lobby looking older than I remembered. My father's hair had gone completely gray. My mother had deep lines around her mouth. They looked tired, worn, desperate in a way I had never seen. When my mother saw me, she tried to smile, tried to step forward for a hug. I stepped back, held up my hand. Do not. Her face crumpled. Your father and I have come all this way. Can we please talk somewhere private? No. We can talk here or not at all. The concierge stood at his desk, watching carefully. I had tipped him well at Christmas. He would call security if I signaled. That knowledge made me braver. What do you want? My father spoke. His voice had the same commanding tone he used in business meetings. We need to discuss Sylvia's wedding. The costs have gotten out of hand. We have stretched ourselves thin. We are asking for a family loan. $50,000. We will pay you back, of course. No. The word came out flat and final. My mother's eyes widened. Philomena, please. You are doing so well. We saw the articles about you. You can afford this. Sylvia is your sister. Sylvia got a Rolls Royce for Christmas. I got $2. You tell me which one of us is family. The silence that followed was sharp enough to cut. My father's face flushed red. We gave you everything. A roof over your head. Food. Education. You gave me the scraps of your love and called it parenting. You gave me $2 and thought I should be grateful. You made me invisible in my own home and expected me to smile about it. My mother started crying. We did not mean it that way. We love you. We always loved you. You loved the idea of having a responsible daughter who did not need attention so you could pour everything into Sylvia. You loved having someone to ignore so she could feel special. But you never loved me. Not the way parents are supposed to love their children. My father tried anger, raised his voice. This is about money, is it not? You are punishing us because we could not afford to spoil you like we spoiled your sister. I laughed, actually laughed. The sound echoed in the marble lobby. You think this is about money? I make more now than you ever did. I own this condo. I have investments. I am financially secure in ways you never managed. This is not about money. This is about you proving one more time that you only see me as useful, not as your daughter, as a bank account. We are family, my mother whispered. No, you are people who share my genetics. Family is who shows up for you, who sees you, who values you. I have family now, real family, people who chose me and I chose them. You are just strangers who hurt me for 21 years and now want me to fund your favorite daughter's fairy tale wedding. My father started to argue, started to make threats about inheritance, about legal obligations, about respect. I cut him off. Security is 30 seconds away if I want them here. You need to leave. Now. Do not contact me again. Not by email, not by phone, not by showing up at my home or my work. I will get a restraining order if I have to. I walked away from you 5 years ago. That decision was final. I turned to the concierge. Please escort them out. If they return, call the police. I walked to the elevator, pressed the button, heard my mother calling my name behind me, heard my father's angry voice demanding I come back. The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside, turned around, made eye contact with both of them one last time. I gave myself everything you refused to give me. Respect, value, a future. You taught me what I needed to know. That some people will never see you no matter how bright you shine, and the healthiest thing you can do is walk away and shine anyway. The doors closed. I rode up to my floor, walked to my condo, locked the door behind me, sat on my couch, and felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness, not even satisfaction, just emptiness where they used to live in my head. When Jamie came home an hour later, I told the story. Jamie held me while I cried, not from grief, but from release, from the finality of it, from knowing I would never have to do that again. I blocked every possible avenue of contact after that. Changed my work email, made my LinkedIn private, told building security their photos were on file as banned visitors. I protected my peace the way I should have been protected as a child. Fiercely. Completely. I heard through Rachel months later that Sylvia's wedding had been significantly downsized. That my parents were struggling financially, had apparently been living beyond their means for years. That Sylvia's marriage was already rocky, her husband realizing quickly that he had married someone who expected to be worshipped without offering anything in return. I felt nothing hearing that news. No vindication, no sorrow. Their lives were not my concern anymore. 2 years have passed since that confrontation in my building lobby. I am 35 now, still at the same company, still thriving. Jamie and I got engaged last year. Small ceremony planned for next fall. 50 people. Friends who have become family. Mentors who believed in me. Colleagues who respect me. No one from Connecticut will receive an invitation. We bought a house together last year. Mid-century modern in the Hills garden space where I grow tomatoes and herbs. 3 bedrooms, one of which is my office. On the wall above my desk, in a simple black frame, are those $2. Crisp and faded and perfect. People who visit ask about them sometimes. I tell them it is a reminder of the best gift I ever received. The truth about who my family was. The clarity to walk away. The $2 that freed me to build a life worth living. My therapy sessions now are maintenance, not crisis management. Dr. Chen and I talk about sustaining happiness, about the family Jamie and I might build someday, about whether I will ever fully heal from being the overlooked daughter. She thinks I already have. I think healing is ongoing. We are both probably right. I started a scholarship fund 2 years ago in my own name. The Philomena Grant for first-generation students from difficult families. It covers full tuition housing and a living stipend for students who are escaping toxic homes to pursue education. I fund it personally. 10 students so far. 10 kids who will not have to work 3 jobs while studying. Who will not have to choose between staying safe and staying connected to family. Who will know that someone believes their potential matters more than their past. Marcus still meets me for coffee sometimes. He is a senior architect at Google now, but he remembers the girl studying JavaScript during her breaks at Daily Grind. We laugh about how far we have both come. About the power of people who see potential in strangers and choose to nurture it. I spoke at a conference last month about building career resilience. I told a version of my story. Left out names and specific details, but shared the core truth. That I started over with nothing. That I taught myself valuable skills. That I refused to let my origin story define my destination. The room was packed. People cried. The speech went viral on LinkedIn. My inbox filled with messages from people escaping their own difficult families thanking me for showing them it was possible. I do not mention my family in interviews or public talks. They do not deserve to be part of my success story. They were the obstacle I overcame, not the foundation I built on. The foundation was me. The girl who got $2 and decided she was worth more. Sometimes late at night I think about Sylvia. Wonder if she ever understood what our parents did to both of us. They damaged her differently than they damaged me. They taught her she deserved everything without earning it. That her value came from being pretty and charming and favored. What happens to that girl when the world does not worship her, when her looks fade, when her charming act stops working? I got the harder lesson younger. That I had to earn my own worth. Build my own value. Create my own life. And because I learned it at 21 instead of 40, I got decades of freedom she might never find. In a twisted way, those $2 saved me. Gave me the clarity to leave before I wasted more years seeking approval from people incapable of giving it. I do not forgive my parents. Forgiveness requires remorse from the person who hurt you, and they have never shown any. They were sorry I left, sorry they could not access my success, sorry they lost their backup plan, but they were never sorry for how they treated me, for making me feel invisible, for valuing me at $2 while my sister got hundreds of thousands. But I also do not carry active anger anymore. They are simply people who failed at the most basic job of parenting. Seeing your child, valuing them, giving them the foundation to build a life. They failed me, and I succeeded anyway. That is the whole story. Jamie is calling from the kitchen. Dinner is ready. We are having friends over tonight. People I chose. People who know my whole story and love me not despite it, but because they see who I became through surviving it. People who would never measure my worth in dollars or compare me to anyone else. I have those $2 bills in my wallet right now too. I carry them sometimes. A reminder that I am the girl who got nothing and built everything. Who walked into the dark at 2 in the morning and found her own light. Who learned that family is not who you are born to, but who chooses to see you value you keep you. Sometimes the best inheritance is nothing at all. No expectations, no obligations, no ties to people who diminish you, just the freedom to walk away and build something entirely your own. Those $2 gave me that freedom. They showed me exactly who my parents were, and I believed them, and I left. Years later, they learned where that decision took me. To success, they could not claim credit for. To happiness, they played no part in. To a life so full and rich and mine that their absence does not leave a hole. It leaves space. Space I filled with people who actually love me, with work that fulfills me, with a partner who sees me, with a version of myself I am proud to be. That Christmas morning when I was 21, standing in my parents' living room, holding $2 while my sister got a Rolls Royce, I thought it was the worst moment of my life. I was wrong. It was the moment I woke up. The moment I stopped hoping they would change and started changing my own life. The moment I chose me. And that choice led me here. To a house filled with love. To a career I built line by line. To a future I am writing myself. To peace I never thought possible. So if you are out there right now feeling invisible in your own family, wondering if you will ever be enough, let me tell you what I learned. You are already enough. You always were. The people who cannot see that are the ones with broken vision, not you. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away at 2 a.m. with one bag and $2 and trust that you deserve better. Because you do. You absolutely do. If my story resonated with you, drop a comment below and tell me where you are watching from. Have you ever had to choose yourself over family? What was the hardest decision you made that led to your best life? I want to hear your stories. And please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who is standing in their own version of that living room, holding their own version of $2, wondering if leaving is possible. It is possible. I am living proof. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it gave you something. Hope maybe. Or permission. Or just the knowledge that you are not alone. Wherever you are on your journey, I am rooting for you. You deserve a life where you are seen, valued, and loved. Do not settle for anything less. I promise you, it is worth the walk into the dark to find your light. Take care of yourselves. Choose people who choose you. And remember, your worth is not determined by how others treat you. It is determined by how you treat yourself. Be kind to you. You are worth it.